setting things up. Let me grab my glasses off so there's no reflection from the light. I'm not using my cancellation microphone today, so you're going to hear all the noises, all the sights and sounds of the Philippines is going to be coming through. I hope you could hear me okay. What do I have? Oh, nobody in the live chat. So anyway, I'm talking to myself right now. Well, since there's nobody here, I'm just going to start doing what I have to do. I've got the desktop fired up. Alien Cruise officials here. Glenda Montero is here. Hi, I'm just doing an impromptu live because I haven't uploaded anything in a few days. So I decided I'd just get on here and start talking about, things that come into my head. Manny is here. Hi, Manny. Annie MC in the house. Early in the morning. Yeah, we're going to be headed over to the cafe in a little while. So this is going to be kind of a short live stream. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you. I'm sitting here because I have to do my income tax return for the United States of America, because that's Minnie and I we're citizens of the USA, which means we have to do our income taxes. So I have to start gathering up all my forms and getting them ready to be filed. And so because we're going to be heading out pretty soon, I think we're going to head out. It's probably going to be on Saturday. We're probably going to be on the afternoon Roble out of Bye Bye City. Yeah, I'm not doing the fast fare yet until they get everything all settled, squared away. Because they've canceled a few rides, and so I'm not sure I want to book on the fast ferry. I'm talking about the Sea Cat that came to Bye Bye last month. Well, they relaunched it already, but I'm a little bit afraid. So instead of doing that, I'll take the slow ferry, the Roble. We'll get the cabin again, and we'll enjoy our life while traversing the seas of the Philippines. Viking is here. Lorraine Pajadas in the house. Anime Reyes, did I wake you up? No, you were already up. I think I saw you on chat at something like 4 in the morning, Anime. Maybe I could have been somebody else. Lauren Pajadas, how are you? Thanks for sharing it out. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not using my cancellation mic. I got that right here. So you might hear the roosters and the dogs barking and the fan going and things like that. Thank you so much for being a fan. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I plead with you, please share, like, and subscribe. I noticed that only about 25% of the people that come into the channel are subscribed to the channel. And I think we're approaching 6,000 subscribers, but that's not nearly enough to make money. And we need to make money because I share it with you. As a matter of fact, we'll have an update pretty soon on what we're doing at the end of February when we get that huge paycheck from YouTube. I'm laughing. No, it's not. It's not a huge paycheck. It's an itty bitty paycheck, right? But I'm still going to be sharing it with you. And I think that I'm deciding right now, how many 1,000 peso prizes I want to give away to your Gcash, how many 500 peso prizes I want to give away. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. I don't think I'm going to go lower than 500 pesos. What's the point? We have to give away something like 6,000 to 7,000 pesos when that money comes in, right? Oh, Grandpa Jim is in the house from Sacramento, California. So while I'm sitting here doing my taxes, while I'm getting here and I'm getting ready to file them and all that, I probably won't do it until tomorrow or Wednesday. I started thinking about what's the game that's going on in the USA, President Trump, that is the Honorable President Trump, is he's talking about doing away with the Internal Revenue Service and doing away with income tax. And I'm all about that, and he wants to make up the income by imposing tariffs on foreign countries. But I doubt that would affect the Philippines in any kind of way because we're like married with children, we're we're like family. And so I doubt that it's going to impact the Philippines in any kind of way economically. I may be wrong about that, but I don't think so. So, oh, Mike is in the house. Good morning, Mike. Nice to see you. I enjoyed watching watching your puppy sleeping on Larry's channel. Tariffs are put on hold. Yeah, that's right. Uh, so anyway, this is where I think it's going, Mike. So he does these huge circles around, in order to get something done. And the more I started thinking about it, I mean, I'm game for getting rid of the Internal Revenue Service. I just can't keep that a secret, because they weaponize the Internal Revenue Service. And then what's the game plan for raising revenue then? And then just like that, boom. As I was shopping for some goodies the other day, and I saw my value added tax show up on my receipt. That's VAT, value added tax. We're going to find out exactly what that is. I realized that, oh, he's going the long way around, or he may be. No, I have to sound a lot less dogmatic. He may be going the long way around of implementing a system like what we have here in the Philippines, which is a thing called the VAT tax, which is value added tax. And I think this is necessary because people, generally speaking, people aren't buying much junk. Oh, the little birdie came to say hello. We have a little birdie that comes around every now and again and likes to look at himself in the reflective windows. And so he flies around, talks to himself, and then he takes off. And this little birdie comes around almost every morning. Yeah, the United States doesn't have a value added tax. And so this is the direction that I think we're going. And I'll be honest with you, I've been hitting a lot of home runs on my predictions lately. And that was that I said that his administration wasn't going to fire all the federal workers like you're fired. They were going to give them a golden parachute. They were going to give them an early retirement deal, which he has already done. And the reason why is because when you look at the stats, then you're looking at people that are within 8 months. 5 to 10% of governmental employees are within 8 months of retiring. So what he did was he said, okay, I'm going to bridge you for 8 months, and then you could take early retirement. I think it was a brilliant plan. By the way, I'm not a Republican. I'm actually a liberal. I'm actually a registered Democrat. But if you think about it, this is a pretty brilliant way to go, right? Bridge them so they could take early retirement, and then you're going to have a lot less fallout. But he wants to get rid of the Internal Revenue Services as well. And so one way that you do that is you do what the Philippines does. You impose a value-added tax. Now, the reason why you'd want a value-added tax during this period in American history, in USA history, is because people aren't going out and buying all kinds of crazies. They're not going out and spending money on houses. They're not going out, and therefore they're not filling the houses up with durable goods. There's no new furniture. There's no new television sets. People pretty much have all the junk they need, and you have not 1/3, but I'd say you're getting close to maybe 25% of the U.S. population, the working population, are about ready to leave work. And so here you have all the folks that have all the assets. They hold the majority of assets in the United States, and they're all getting ready to retire within the next 5 to 10 years. It's a huge number. It's a very huge number. And I wouldn't keep anybody from retiring if they want to retire, nor would I say keep working or don't stop working if you don't want to stop working. Continue on to work. I think it's all good. But what it means basically is consumption of these durable goods, and we're talking about air conditioning systems, Mildred. We're talking about things like television sets and all the stuff that goes into a home is no longer gonna be sold, and so states are going to be sucking wind trying to collect sales tax, and also the federal government is going to have a heck of a problem on their hands because of obvious reasons. No one's going to go out there and buy anything, and if you're not going out and buying anything, that means you're not producing anything. And so right now we have trillions, what, about $1 trillion? No, $250 billion worth of stuff coming through the Panama Canal. And this is all connected to each other, I'm telling you. All this, the transit, the transiting through the canal has probably declined quite a bit, but that may not necessarily be true. A friend of mine said, no, it's actually the opposite, Dan, and it may be. But you have to look at the quality of goods that are coming through the canal, right? So he has to figure out some way to keep the economy growing, to keep everybody working without without doing too much damage, and collect money all at the same time. And so he's taken a page out of the book of the Philippines, and that is that to add a value added tax. Now nobody is talking about this. Nobody's talking about this, and that's because it's kind of like this: look over here, not here; look there, not there. In other words, right now they're not ready to announce the plan. Once they get through the whole dumbing down of government, I mean shrinking down of government, not dumbing down. Once they get through that process and they make it through successfully, once all the probationary employees are given their notices that say, hey, so sorry, so sad, but it turns out we no longer need you. We needed you before and we don't need you now. So that's the other thing, in case you guys don't know what's going on in the States. People are getting these notices. They just got hired on. They're in their probationary period, which for some positions lasts a year in the United States. And now they're receiving letters in the mail saying, we're terminating you without cause. And so he's putting all these people are going to be out of work. I read about that, Mike, that the liquor stores took all the American alcohol off the shelves. Party on. I hope we don't do the same, because I just happen to be a fan of Canadian whiskey. So anyway, let's talk about if you ever notice, you guys, if you go to the store and you see that the value added tax, a lot of people don't even know what that is. But it's a tax on goods and services, and it is based on general consumption. It's a consumption tax, basically, is what it is. If you go into Wikipedia, you're going to see it. I'm looking at it right now. It's similar to, and it's often compared with, a sales tax. That is an indirect tax. And the reason why you want to do that is, let's say that you're involved, Menge, you wouldn't be involved in this, but let's say, Griselda, let's say that somebody here is involved in illegal gains, ill-gotten gains, which, the reason why the Philippines is because they have a huge economy, and they have to tap into that money. It's a huge economy, but a lot of the money is made by day labor, right? You hire somebody, you pay them 500 pesos to do some electrical, some plumbing for you, and the like, and then you never see a payroll tax from that. You never see any kind of a federal tax on that. And so how the government here in the Philippines gets their money that makes the whole thing float is through a value-added tax, which is known as a VAT. And as I said, VAT is an indirect tax. And so they'll figure out what goods or services would be exempted and which ones they're going to tax. And it's gonna make the whole thing work. And so right now, this whole tariff thing, in my humble opinion, and I don't know very much about economics, but I'm just sharing it with you because I've been right about a lot of things lately. As a matter of fact, you'd think that I have a crystal ball sitting in front of me. But if you think about it, you want to get people looking a different direction. This whole tariff imposing thing is very upsetting to a lot of people. It upsets me even hearing about it, right? I don't like this idea. Well, come to find out, a lot of people don't. Initially, you would say, "Oh yeah, tax the hell out of them." It isn't fair. Europe is we have a $350 million deficit per year. Every fiscal year, we're 350 million in the red. They won't take our agriculture products. They won't take our cars. They won't take anything. And they're very smart people, by the way, in Europe. But the whole thing is that it's lopsided, right? And so he's going to get some mojo, some negotiating mojo out of this, basically. He's going to get what he wants, like what's going on with Canada and Mexico. Send 10,000 troops to the border. Mexico just agreed that they're going to go there and protect the northern border, our southern border, and then they're going to get the cartels out of there so that they can restrict the movement of fentanyl and illegal immigration over the border. And then he paused, as Mike was pointing out, he paused the tariffs. But you see, are you guys following how this thing works? So he threatens tariffs, and then he gets them to the negotiating table ASAP, and then all of a sudden, presidents and prime ministers of countries are talking to each other. They're like, whoa, hold the phone, hold the phone. Now, I misspoke the other day. I said that they wouldn't impose energy tariffs on Canada. But it turned out that they did initially impose 10% tariffs. And then I started seeing the electricity and the flow of electricity on one of these maps that's showing up on YouTube. And then I realized, whoa, I see what's going on here. No wonder Canada can't afford to take the hit. Not even 10% on tariffs. It's because the electricity and gas, it funnels through the United States of America and comes around a long ways back into Canada, which means they would get killed if they imposed 10% tariffs on electricity, gas, and energy in general. So anyway, I thought, man, if you're going to strong arm somebody, that's the way that you want to do it, right? That's the way you want to do it. You get them to the table. But the American public aren't going to be off the hook. They may be for filing federal income taxes if that's what he wants to do, is get away from that in his term and lay off all these Internal Revenue Service auditors that keep threatening the lower and the middle classes with audits. The last 90,000 IRS agents, they were hired specifically to audit people like me. I don't like getting a letter in the mail saying that I'm going to be audited, even though I've done nothing wrong and I've always been above board in the filing my income tax return, paying when I had to pay, even early if I had to, right? Not waiting till the last day. I don't do that. I just get it out of the way so I can get on with my life. I have too much stuff in my head. I don't want to have to be thinking about, oh, you owe the IRS money. And then it came to me. This is about a VAT, a national tax system. And it makes perfectly good sense to me, because we're not going to be let off the hook from not paying our fair share of taxes, where it's going to be passed on to other countries. When everybody gets all riled up about this, and they get, and they say, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. Then the next thing that's going to happen is that they're going to say, hey, we have a better idea. How about we impose a VAT? And you know how they do in America, the country that I'm from and that I love. However, they're going to say, which I don't spend much time in at all. Then they're going to say, okay, we have a better idea. Let's impose a little teeny tiny something, a VAT. And they always will do this, starting off with a little small percentage, just to get people used to the idea, right? And so as these tariffs are negotiated, and they try and balance the scale on goods going in and goods coming out. I mean, this is like the War of 1812 all over again, right, Mike? Except without the cannons and stuff, right? Except the British aren't coming in from the north, that's the thing, or the south for that matter. So anyway, all right, hang with me on this idea: value-added tax, right? It's usually implemented as a destination-based tax where the tax rate is based on the location of the producer. VAT raises about a fifth of total tax revenues worldwide. And among the members of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, who I guess love this idea of VAT, and of the 93 countries, there are 193 countries that with UN membership, this is very important, that employ a VAT system. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's just my humble opinion. I have not heard anyone talk about this on YouTube or anywhere else. So make note of this. Make note of my genius. And so if it doesn't happen, you're not going to come back at me and say, "Oh, Dan's an idiot," or will you? Oh, you already say that. Okay. You know who is behind this thing, right? Do you know who Siemens is? Siemens are the guys that make the buses, the trains, and the high speed transportation stuff. Uh, Chevelles. They're the ones that proposed the concept. Wilhelm von Siemens proposed the concept of a value added tax in 1918 to replace Germany's turnover tax. However, believe it or not, I believe it, the turnover tax in Germany wasn't replaced until 1968. So every now and again this comes up, right? This idea about a value added tax. And there's a lot of pushback against it. There always is, right? But I'd like you to know that in France, it is the largest source of state finance, accounting for 50% of their revenues. And so go check it out. Musk is behind it. He wants more. Yeah, let him party on, just so long as I get what I want out of it, Mike. That's the whole thing. Let them party on, get as rich as they want. Hey, if they're able to do it, you know, it's all relative. How much money you have is all relative. For example, I look at my situation and I think to myself, well, it's never been better. Well, how can that be? You know, how can it possibly be that in my entire life I've never been in a better economic position than I am now? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand how that magic worked. Well, it worked because I'm only living on 25%, you know, of what I was living on before in the USA. And so it doesn't surprise me that people are fleeing. They're not exactly fleeing. I apologize for using that verbiage. They're not exactly fleeing for their lives. But if you're in retirement and you're mobile, you're going to be doing, you know, you're going to be doing your homework on how to cut down on costs. You know, you're going to be, there are a lot of places other than the Philippines, let's face it, that are cheaper places to live. Let's talk about that. And by the way, here's the other benefit. Uh, that's actually they incentivize businesses to register, to keep invoices. And so what they're trying to do is, like here in the Philippines, because there's so much, you know, of that type of business going on where day laborers, you know, they'll make the 500 pesos per day. The government would never see any of that money, you know, unless you went to the store and you had to shop, and then you paid the VAT in the checkout line. Des is here. Hi, Des. So that's how it works here. And so they would know. I mean, do you think that if I ask somebody, it doesn't matter what country they're in, to report their underground money, their side hustle money to the federal government, how many of us are gonna do that? The reason why Musk wants to go to Mars is a billion people can be sent to save the human race in case Earth gets destroyed. And then I say, if you look at Mars, what happens if Mars gets destroyed? Because things are running into Mars all the time. You know, I mean, how would you prevent Mars from getting destroyed? That's the whole thing. You have all kinds of hazards on Mars. I wouldn't go there myself. You know, I wouldn't go there myself, and I'm not planning on having everlasting life here on this earth. So how long I live doesn't really come into play, you know. It doesn't really come into play. So that's the reason why. The reason why I think this is going on. You know, the main advantage of that is the extra accounting acquired by those in the supply chain. However, payment of VAT is made simpler when the VAT system has few, if any, exemptions, as with GST in New Zealand, which I don't know much about. So giving you, and you would incentivize some businesses by not imposing a VAT. And therefore, that would expand the employment opportunities. So anyway, if you go into Wikipedia, you start reading about this, you're going to get the general idea of how this thing works. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about in this live has to do with the products. I know I've mentioned it so many times that you guys probably don't want to hear me talk about it anymore, but it's key to what's going on here in the Philippine economy. So you should be paying attention to this. And that is that, oh, they can make it pure race. As long as they stay on Mars, I'm okay with it, Mike. In other words, if they stay over there, I'm good with it. All right. Why these American products and products that are familiar to Americans and Canadians are showing up here in the Philippines? It's because, folks, if you pay attention to these commercials, if you start looking on YouTube, you start really paying close attention, right? They're baiting you, right, into the trap, the middle class trap, that you start seeing things on TV, and then you say, oh, if I have that on the shelves of my bathroom, when my guests come over, they'll think that I'm moving on up into the middle class. And so that's why things like Pantene and those vitamins, Centrum, Hershey's candy bar, and all these different things are starting to show up on the shelves of Filipino department stores. It's not only to appeal to foreigners or Americans in particular, since a lot of the products are born right there in the United States and they're imported here by the Philippines. No, there's something underneath that's in play. And that's to get you, the young consumer, the young folks of the Philippines, average age of 24, to start buying this crap. And then to start buying this crap on credit. And then you'll be able to put this stuff on your shelf, hang this TV on this wall, put this laundry service in your outbuilding, and then people will start looking at you thinking that you're moving on up. You're moving on up. You remember that song? To the east side. See, you're moving on up. And so Philippines, in my opinion, they will emerge and become a very, very productive country. It has to happen. Short history of tariffs. Well, you want me to start? How far do you want me to go back, Jim? Do you want me to go back to the War of 1812? How that work out for us? All right, short history of tariffs. Short history of tariffs in the United States. They have historically served as a key role in the trade policy of the United States. Their purpose was to generate revenue for the federal government and to allow for import substitution industrialization. Industrialization of a nation by replacing imports with domestic production. And so that's a good point that Jim makes, right? I think that Jim makes a really good point, if he was alluding to it, that they won't abolish all tariffs. They'll impose tariffs. But will they be the scary 10%ers and 25%ers that they've been throwing around? And I don't think so. You see, and so there'll be tariffs that are fair and equitable so that we can balance the scale. And so we have goods and services, that are equal, that are leaving the United States or being provided for foreign nations and also coming into the country. That's all that we're looking at. We're looking at a balancing of the scale. And the tariffs were one of the pillars of the American system that allowed the rapid development and industrialization of the United States. And so would we be better off economically if they imposed tariffs? My gut instinct is, my initial thought without doing much research is yes, that it is a benefit, especially during this period of time. And for the same reason that I explained before, that consumerism in the United States is in decline, and the quality of products also coming in the United States ain't that great. We're not talking about, let's face it, that the United States has been innovators in technology, leading innovators in technology. And so we import intellectual property. We export intellectual property, and the big threat that's coming right now is coming from the Far East, because they're one upping us, on that in that area. And so I think that may be a lot of the reason as to what's behind all this that's going on. So anyway, I thought I'd share it with you. But if you go into the store, you can't help but be compelled to buy some of these products. I mean, why would they have places like, at SNR and the other one? What's the name of the other one? Landers. Why would you have places like this that are spitting images of Costco's in the United States? I mean, why would you have that coming into the Philippines? Well, first, there has to be a market for it. And then you have to look at who is it appealing to. It's not the average Filipino. It's not the average Filipino. It's the very thin middle class, or the emerging middle class of the Philippines, and the rich and famous. They're the ones going in there and buying twin packs of 48-inch television sets. You're not going in there and doing that. What you're doing is you're going into Metro and you're using home credit in order to buy a television set. And that's what they want you to do, because they want you to become beholden to that Western system of credit. They want you to be beholden. But the Philippines is not going. They're not lying down and saying, okay, take my money. They're not. If you look at it right now, the Philippines is not a debtor nation, right? But they can easily become one. The biggest problem was moving Silicon Valley to the east. Well, they were looking for cheap labor. Tox is here. Tox, how are you? Good to see you, Tox. I was just talking about Hershey's candy bars a little while ago. Anyway. Yeah, so don't, if I were to give you advice, it's going to be my typical stuff that I've been parroting, and that is to be very careful. Be very careful for, don't fall into that system of things. It's a trap. The beautiful thing about YouTube, the reason why I like it so much, is it because people YouTube channels that are doing very well, or they're doing well economically, can share those blessings with you in all kinds of different forms. And that is a deal changer for people living in developing nations. So this is happening all over the world. It's not just happening here in the Philippines. It's happening in India. It's happening in Pakistan. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening all over the place. It's happening in Cambodia. It's happening in Vietnam. It's happening all over the place. It's a powerful medium, and so that's the reason why I like it. It's because it can be life-changing for some people. I mean, if you're sitting here on YouTube and you're ending up getting a stipend from them because people are watching commercials of something like $300 per month. I know one YouTuber that's getting $300 per month. It's from the Philippines. She was kind enough to share that with us, right? Well, then that money is going to work in the Philippine economy. In other words, they get to buy extra sack of rice. She gets to share a meal with her family and friends. This is the reason why it's so important, that I see YouTube as being important. So, tariffs, according to Dartmouth economist Douglas Irwin, have served three primary purposes, right? To raise revenue, to restrict imports, and protect domestic producers. And so that's what Trump is trying to do, in the United States. And so all these threats that are being thrown around, are, in my opinion, I have, like I said, I'm a novice at this. I'm a novice. My idea is that they just want to get closer to balancing the scale. Will we actually achieve that goal? I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt it because the United States it's an anomaly. It's such a rich freaking country. You know what I mean? I mean, if you have to start, if you guys get a chance to travel, that's when your eyes are really going to be really going to open up. If you go to the United States and you see how people there live, and then you're going to say, "Oh, this is like none other place I've ever been." And it's true. It's an anomaly. It really is. It's not. I'm not lumping all countries in the West into this category because I've been to a lot of Western countries, right? The United States is an anomaly. You look at it and you go, man, these people are filthy rich. That's really, when you start traveling around, that's the idea that you get in your head. That where you have even an employee who's making minimum wage in California, when they're able to provide for their families in the Philippines, which a lot of them are, it's an absolutely amazing thing. I mean, when you have a Jollibee worker in the United States making $30 per hour, that's per hour in American money. I mean, it goes an awful long way in the Philippines. So anyway, I wanted to get this out there. I wanted to tell you what was on my mind because I'm sitting here, I'm gathering up my documents to file my taxes. Thank God I have a very simple income tax to do this year. It only has maybe 4 or 5 forms, 1099 and some investment forms and things like that I have to go track down, from my investments accounts and things like that. It's very, very simple. But it started me to think about all this stuff, that's going on, that all the stuff that influences the rest of the world, all these moves that are being made in the United States that have an impact on other countries, other foreign nations. It's really global. They have a global impact. And that's because the United States is so rich, and I'm telling you, I had to share this thought with you. I don't know if it's going to come to pass. I don't know if value-added tax. I just wanted to give you guys the prediction, the Dan's prediction, because I like being right. Who doesn't like being right about their predictions? I'm just sharing with you. It's not absolute. What's going to happen to me if I'm wrong, I mean, I'm not going to disappear. No one's going to throw stuff. I just said it's a prediction. I have no idea. I just gave you my disclaimer saying that, it's just an idea that I wanted to share. I mean, but it hit me in the head like a 2x4 of cocoa wood. And I had to share it as I was sitting here doing my taxes. Well, that's about all I have to say for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done it. And thank you so much for running up that ice cream video. Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen with a video. And so that short video getting what? It's approaching 6K views. Oh, one more thing. I don't know if Anime is still hanging around. She's been tracking when we're going to hit the 1 million view mark. And I think we're very close. I think we're less than 1,000 views away from hitting that 1 million views. And so thank you everybody for that and the support. The support's enormous. The support is enormous, and I just wanted to thank you. Say I really truly appreciate it, man. Minnie and I really appreciate it. Oh, one more thing before I sign off here. We're going to be heading out pretty soon. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to be heading first to Cebu, and I think we're going to be there for 4 or 5 days, and then we have tickets already purchased for Manila, and then Manila, Minnie and I, we're going to be visiting the Cambodian embassy, and you know what that's all about. And I'm going to do a video on what you need to do in order to get a Cambodian visitor's visa. We're going to do it by physically going to the Cambodian embassy. I was going to do it online, but to do it online, you need to have all the documents ready to go. You have to have your hotel you're going to be staying at. You have to have your tickets, your exit ticket, and all that other stuff has to go into the computer. You know, you have to scan it in the computer. And since we don't know, we're doing this visit on the fly. You know, we're just doing it because we have some business in Manila. We don't know how long it's going to take. We have some friends to visit. One or two of them may be you. And we don't know how long we're going to be there. So we know we're going to be there for at least a week. And then we could start planning our trip over to Cambodia somewhere in that time zone. But we'll go get the visa once we figure out what our travel days are going to be. Oh, I got some other news for you. So initially, when we get into Cebu, we probably are going to be staying at the Waterfront Hotel. And so we're going to be doing a video on that. But check this out. The prices of hotels and residential stays in Manila are starting to tank. And so I talked Minnie into this. I said, Minnie, why don't we go and we stay at the very lowest end, you know, that we could find, and then we could do a video about that part also. And so we found a hotel, right? We found a hotel that's less than $15 per night. You got it. That's $15 American per night. And I'm a little bit nervous about it. Because the reviews on this hotel, they're all over the place. You know, I don't know what they compare it to, but, you know, I hope that they've improved a few things in this place. But I'm not going to be shy about showing you the place that we're going to be staying at when we hit Manila. I thought this would be great because everybody thinks that Manila is such a very, very expensive place to get a hotel. And it is. But I'm gonna show you that deals can be found, and what's behind that deal is what we're interested in. And so we're gonna give it to you, the truth. We're not gonna hide anything. If there are cockroaches in there, if there I doubt there are, right? But whatever it is, holes in the wall, you know, noisy, you can't sleep at night. I'm going to bring it all to you. Not live. I'll edit it. That's in Manila to hang with the fellas at $15 per night American. That's cheaper than any place, anywhere, I'm telling you. And so you probably heard that real estate's falling apart in Manila, and it's not really falling apart. I think they're in massive correction. We'll talk more about that in a separate video. You guys all have a great, what is it, Tuesday? We're late to get over to the cafe. We'll see you there. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye. We're out.